Another important area that I firmly believe is overlooked is teaching young people about beliefs and value systems. Is teaching them to understand their belief systems and also to understand the values that they hold in their lives. And this is one of the solutions, in my opinion, to why a lot of young people are doing things like committing crime, violent acts on the street, and some of them even murder, because they have no no understanding of values in society. And so, but if we take it back, and this is where the parents will come in, the value system is something that you need to understand as a parent, because a lot of parents out there believe that they are failing their children. And they, when young people get to 12, 13 years old and they start changing, parents believe that they've failed that child. But you have to have a firm understanding of what the value system is. How do values work in your house? So you've got to understand that between the ages of 0 and 7, the child or your child gets its values from you at home. That's called the sponge stage. That's where everything you tell them about the world is correct. Everything you tell them about, be cautious out there because this might happen, cross the road this way, that might happen, don't smoke. Between the ages of 0 and 7, your child will naturally believe you because they naturally believe in the values of the house. Now, the problem with some young children, and if you look at year 4 in primary school, is that around that age, which is just, 8 years old onwards, between 8 and 13, your child starts using the values of a friend. So your child might start looking at, why do I have to go to bed at 7 and my friend goes to bed at 9? So I am going to choose that value system, and that could create a conflict in the home because your values are that you're in bed at 7 o'clock, and it's always worked. But for some reason in year 4 now, 8 years onwards, you are having a conflict with your child about the time to go to bed. And that's because your child is now experimenting with different values. And it's not your fault. It just means that your child is exposed to more information. And so your child might be coming home swearing. Your child might be coming home acting a certain way. Your child might want to join a gang all of a sudden, because between the ages of 8 and 13, they're going through a different process of building beliefs and values. So you've got to learn to understand that the support is needed during the 8 to 13 stage, where they are going out and experimenting with new values. I mean, for example, if you look at the amount of children that experiment with alcohol and tobacco during those years, and you start wondering, we've never taught them at home to do that. Where are they getting this from? They're simply testing what's going on in the world. And so for a parent, it's quite difficult, because understanding those changes without understanding, a human being's belief and value systems leaves you in a position where you believe you're failing your child and you don't know what to do to engage your child. You think you've lost your child. But it's around this age you have to focus your support on working out, what are these new values? Where are they coming from, for a start? And then what you can do as a parent is you can test those values. For example, if your child is now saying that smoking cigarettes is fine, you need to test those values. You need to take your child and show them the long-term harm of tobacco. This is a stage that you need to be doing this, or the long-term effects of drugs, or the long-term effects of not eating right, or the long-term effects of getting involved in gangs, an activity that's going to leave you with a criminal record at an early age, which is going to last for the rest of your life. So the value system is an important, integral part of what family life should be. So we move on from 8 to 13, and we look at 14 going on to 21. Now, between the ages of 14 and 21 is called the superhero value building stage. So your child is now looking fully out into the world to find that hero to idolize. And this is why I'm always talking about music and the effects of music, because those people, those superheroes who are in the world now, are the people that young people look for to be role models. And they might have completely different values to the values you have at home, but your child is going to test those values that that superhero has. So that age between 14 and 21 is called the superhero value testing stage. This is where your child is looking deep into the world to experiment with as many things as possible, because all your child is simply doing is testing to see whether or not between the ages of 0 and 7, you were telling them the right things. And so your child might get involved in a violent act, or your child might get caught smoking, simply because they're testing the values that you've laid down for them. And the funny thing about values is this: when a child becomes an adult, so let's talk about 21 years on, it's really strange how a child or a young adult starts to revert back to the values of 0 to 7, especially when they start having children. You'll find that instinctively, us as humans start reverting back to those values which we knew were the core values of the house at the time, and the values that actually helped us to survive up until now. So it's really strange. So young people are going through this process where they're looking at these idols. You know, a lot of these idols are singing negative lyrics. They're telling them what to do. They're showing them a lifestyle, which in my belief is the wrong age to show them, because now young people are walking around believing that they need to have diamonds, Rolex watches and big cars at 16 years old. So this is because they're getting the values from these artists that are showing them these things, and they're showing them it's possible. So for me, values is an important part of understanding your child's behavior, and it's something that you should prepare for as a parent, because you're going to face those things. You're going to face the fact that your child comes home and there's conflict between the values, or they believe something completely different to you. But it's okay, because you need to understand what they're believing or what their values are at the time, and then you need to try and understand more where they're coming from. So are values and beliefs important in raising a child? You better believe it.